Welcome to my video. This is Eckogen. I'll be going over the mechanics of Sobu, the last boss in Warped Citadel. Here's the attack pattern. 2 front swipes, large frontal swipe, plus 60-degree back attack. He attacks both halves of the room, left and then right, or right then left. It's RNG. Front hammer attack, followed by a 180-degree pull from behind, and then front hammer attack. He does a Shockwave or a cross attack for his 5th attack. So the 5th attack is RNG between those 2 attacks. In this case, it's Shockwave, so just jump over the Shockwave to avoid it. Other than that, that's his entire attack rotation. One attack not shown in the video is a timed attack. So the timed attack is a room-wide pull, and then he'll do punishment that's starting inner, and then it goes to outer. Otherwise, that's everything you see here. Mechanics in normal mode happen at 85% and 40%. Alright, so 85%, it's phase. Before the phase starts, you want to pick 3 people to stay outside, and 3 to be in soul separation. The 3 in soul sep need to be at the 3 o'clock side of the room, while the 3 staying outside are at the 9 o'clock side of the room. The Dread Prince is starting the Dominion field. It'll do a room-wide AoE. It does not do any damage, but it will give everyone 2 stacks of hammers. And then the 3 furthest will be sent into soul separation. During this phase, when you have the hammer stacks, do not randomly jump. Jumping causes you to lose 1 stack, and it pulses 5, and it pulses a 5-meter AoE. If it hits anyone, they will gain 1 stack. Jumping near the boss will also put you into soul separation. Going over 3 stacks while you're in soul sep will kill you. Going over 3 stacks while outside will daze you. So just don't jump if it's not needed. CC bar opens up, stun, or any other CC. The Dread Prince creates a soul destruction zone, which covers the right half of the room with a persistent death zone. It will not affect the people within soul separation because it's outside. He'll then cast another death zone, which will cover the left half of the room. So this is where you want to iframe, or you can also use Moon block. This will not work on hard mode, as it will go through iframes. So the method shown here is the cheese method. He'll then do a small half circle attack towards the left, either iframe that or just avoid it. He'll then do the same thing for the right side. So this attack will affect people in soul sep. And then the people in soul sep, and you need to iframe the large half room attack. And then he'll follow up with a small half circle attack towards the right. So either iframe that or just stand out of its path. CC bar will open up. KD or any other CC is fine. The Dread Prince binds the soul. So he'll gain a 40-second buff called Judgment. And then he'll create 2 quarter fields that are instantly kill, and 2 that are safe to be in. So essentially the room will be broken down into quadrants. So for the first attack here, the top right quadrant is safe for people in soul separation. So this spot right here, top right, is safe for people in soul sep. And the bottom left quadrant right here, this is safe for people outside. The field will then shift clockwise. So simply move clockwise to be in the new established safe quadrants. And then you can see the top left quadrant here. This is safe for outside. And bottom right quadrant is safe for people in soul separation. So you can see the quadrant here with this kind of like light blue kind of effect. Those are the death zones. The Dread Prince summons a Soulbound with Necromancy. So just look at the minimap here. Mites will spawn in Soul Separation around the edges of the room. And they'll be at 12, 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10 o'clock positions. So those could be a total of 8 mites. The boss will constantly launch hammer attacks towards the tank. And so this attack right here that you see, that's the hammer attack. The tank's job is to bait the hammers so that they hit the mites. And that's going to remove the shield protection from the mites. People outside and inside can get hit by the hammers. So the tank can start at any position and then bait the hammers. Our tank started at 9 o'clock and then baited it clockwise. So one person inside Soul Separation needs to have 3 stacks of hammers. In between each mite, so if you look at the mites here, in between each of them, there's like a dark blue orb that spawns. And of course you can only see that in Soul Separation. Those give 2 stacks of hammers. And then around the boss, inside Soul Sep, there's going to be 4 light blue orbs. So there'll be one at the top, one to his right, one bottom, and one to his left. If they step on those, they give 1 stack of hammers. The blue orbs will refresh after you step on them. Now keep in mind that you can't go over 3 stacks if you're in Soul Separation. So if, let's say, you have 2 stacks, so jump on, well not jump on, but like step on the light blue orb, that will give you 1, so you'll have 3. Or if you insist on taking the dark blue and you have 2 stacks, I guess you could jump to drop a stack, so then you'll be down at 1. You step on the dark blue orb, you get 2 stacks. So once the mite's shield has been removed, the assigned person in Soul Sep with 3 stacks will jump on the mite. This will kill the mite, and then their hammer stack will be reduced to 1. So if you look here on the minimap, number 3 is the one doing this roll, so they finally got their 3 stacks of hammers. They jump on the mite, that kills the mite. The dead mite will drop an orb, and this orb will appear to the outside, and it will travel towards the boss. The first orb blocker will block the first orb at 5 meters from the boss. Blocking the orb gives 1 hammer stack, and it causes the blocker to pulse a 5-meter ring, a 3-meter AoE, and then another 5-meter ring. So you stand and block at 5 meters so that the 5-meter rings, the pulses hit the boss. And it should not hit any other melees. So if you're standing at that position, it should not hit the tank. You can see here, there's the second orb blocker. They're standing at 5 meters. They're blocking the second orb. And then I jumped because I had 3 stacks of hammers. Jumping causes you to lose 1 stack. Because I'm going to block the third orb, I didn't want to have 3 stacks on me because that would daze me if I blocked the orb with 3 current stacks. So as soon as the pulses from blocking the orbs hit the boss a total of 3 times, it removes his judgment buff. So if you remember from earlier, when he started the phase, he got a 40-second judgment buff. So 3 pulses, hits the boss 3 times, it removes his buff. He'll stop throwing hammers, and then you'll see the message, judgment was postponed, meaning you did it correctly. And then proclamation begins, meaning the boss will see if the number of hammer stacks, both inside and outside, match. If they're balanced, you will not see any light or dark on the gauge under his health bar. So if you look under his health bar here, here's the gauge. The gauge on the left, it fills with yellow if outside has more, and it fills accordingly to the number of unbalanced stacks. So for our case, our outside had one stack more than the number of stacks for soul separation. So that's why there's only one bar that filled. And then the same thing goes for soul separation. The gauge will fill to the right with a dark color if soul sep has more than outside. So for example, if soul separation had 3 more stacks than us, then you'll see 3 bars filled. Now at any point in the time during phase, if either side of the bar goes up to 4 bars, it's a wipe. And if the stacks are balanced at the time the judgment buff is removed, he will be dazed. So that's the goal, is to balance your stacks before judgment is cleansed. Now, because the gauge was not perfectly balanced, as all things should be, the boss does a room-wide pull and aerials us. This can be iframed. Now, this is fine on normal mode if you don't have the stacks balanced, but you do want them balanced on hard mode and challenge mode. He's going to end the phase with a 5-hit room-wide AoE, the first hit causing knockback. So you want to have either Hamu block or FM Destroyer sheath that. So that is the first phase. So now he'll do his regular attack rotation until you hit second phase. So second phase is going to happen at 40%. So there's 40%. Dominion field. Same thing. People doing soul separation are at the 3 o'clock side of the room. People that are staying outside, 9 o'clock side of the room. Stun. He creates the soul destructing zone. So here's the persistent death zone at 3 o'clock. Remember, it does not affect people in soul sep. Now he's going to create the other death zone, the other half, on the outside, for the outside people, so on the 9 o'clock side. So remember, we need to iframe. He then does the small circle attack, iframe or be out of that. He'll then do the same thing on the right side. This will now affect people in soul separation. They need to iframe this. And then followed by the small circle attack towards the right, iframe or be out of that. KD. So he gains the 40-second judgment. Here comes the first quarter of the fields. So remember the first fields for the safe zones. The first one, they're exactly the same, no changes. And then they will shift clockwise. So move clockwise. He's now going to spawn mites and then throw hammers at the tank. Tank baits the hammers so they hit the mites. The person in soul sep gets 3 stacks. And then they jump on the mites with the shields that have been removed. Just for a total of 3 times. So there's the first orb. First orb blocker blocks at 5 meters. You want the 5-meter pulses to hit the boss. There's the second orb. Second orb will be blocked at 5 meters for the second blocker. And then since the pulses hit the boss 3 times, it will instantly remove any orbs that were not blocked, ends the judgment phase, and now begins the proclamation phase. So again, if the gauge is balanced, you will not see any colors. If it's not, you will see this. So because it's not balanced, he pulls us aerials, and then finishes with a 5-hit room-wide AoE. Alright, so that's how the cheese mechanics work for this boss. Unfortunately, these mechanics will not work on hard mode because you cannot iframe the death zones. As for a guide with proper mechanics, I will cover that later on. I'll also include a link to a Google Sheet that I have made, and it displays information and visuals of what I have explained mechanically, and hopefully that should help clarify things. So that link will be in the video description as well. As always, my social links will be in the video description. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Peace out.